The budget. Joining me for her reaction is the Green spokesperson for Social Services, Senator Janet Rice. Senator, thanks for your time. Let's start with what we know, the increase in the single parenting payment confirmed by the Prime Minister. Do you welcome the move?
Look, I do welcome it, and it's been welcomed by advocates who have fought so hard for this, and I really congratulate them on their campaigning. But it's just not enough. It's really only a beginning. And for one thing, it actually doesn't increase the rate of parenting payment, which is still below the poverty line. So even though it's extended now, so that it's extended to people whose kids are up to the age of 14, still doesn't increase the payment. It still leaves them in poverty if they're existing on that income support. And then it leaves about 15,000 people with 14 and 15-year-olds still on job seeker. I mean, the slashing from 16 to 8 was a Howard government decision, but then supported by the Gillard government, and we really would like to see the Labor government sort of increase it back to 16.
It does sound like the government's going to move, my colleague Andrew Clennell reporting, across the board when it comes to job seeker. Is that encouraging to you?
No,
so
not.
The even though they fall back to job seeker, looks like it'll be increased then.
Oh, but the rumoured increase is $2.85 a day. And it's less than what the Morrison government increased it after the pandemic. It is a real slap in the face to people. It's still $500 less than what per fortnight than what the poverty line is. It is not going to enable people to be not having to make these really difficult decisions of, do they pay the rent? Do they feed their kids? Do they pay for their medication? Do they skip on their medication so their kids can afford to get it? $2.85 is a really tiny increase, and it's going to leave people in poverty.
Senator, what do you say to the economists who warn every dollar when given in welfare, and certainly to the unemployed, like we're saying, every dollar is going to be spent? Because, as you quite rightly point out, they're doing it super tough, but then the rates are going up. There's high inflation. Are you worried about the inflationary element?
Look, it's people having the opportunity to put a banana in their kid's lunchbox or paying for the repairs to their washing machine is not what causes inflation. What's going to be inflationary is the impact of the Stage 3 tax cuts, which are going to put $9,000 a year extra into the pockets of people who will go out and spend it big time, because it's very much discretionary payment. But, you know, people being able to afford to pay their medical expenses, being able to afford to pay the rent, being able to get some fresh fruit and vegetables, that is not inflationary.
Do you also welcome the government's making the petroleum resource rent tax more effective, adding $2.4 billion to the coffers over forward estimates?
Again, it's only a tiny proportion of what would have been possible. These changes have been developed in cahoots with the gas industry, actually. The gas industry coming out and saying that, you know, they thought this was great shows you just how unambitious that this measure is. The Greens had a policy costed by the Parliamentary Budget Office that would have raised $94 billion over the decade, just by making sure that these gas corporations who are making massive... No, I mean, they are making massive profits at the moment on the back of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Basically, their profits are absolutely sky high.
You don't think investment would have dried up?
No. If you just made them pay a minimum of 10% tax on their super profits, and have treated their deductions the same way that other companies' deductions get treated, that would have been very reasonable, would have still allowed decent profits for the gas companies being made, but would have raised $94 billion, which is money that could then be spent on increasing income support, on putting dental care into Medicare, on doing the things that would really make a difference for ordinary Australians.
Senator Janet Rice from the Greens, thank you. Appreciate your time as always.
Thanks very much, Kieran.